takes a couple of things to make me realize, to remind me again, the true nature of the reality we live in. You know, I was watching some information about the CIA, the ex-CIA child soldier that was used to murder a bunch of people for us in the Middle East, and then we brought him here as an asset, or as a sort of an ally. And then he ended up killing 2 National Guard members that should have not been there at all. That's another problem, right? I was thinking about, that's one guy, that's one case, but there are millions and millions of dollars of our money, your money, my money, used to fund the hundreds of people to train child soldiers in another country so that those child soldiers murder people, right? This is like a structure, a system in our society, right? Hundreds, if not thousands upon thousands of child soldiers that we personally create to murder people. A horror beyond comprehension, honestly. And something else I was reading, I was watching a summary of the book Year 2666, and talking about all of the Mexican and Central American women that are murdered and sex trafficked. Just the hundreds and the hundreds of them. Again, another horror of incomprehensible magnitude. This reality we're in is truly something that I guess they call hell. We're definitely in one of these circles of hell. And we have to put a stop to it. I don't know what the fuck these other people are thinking, or these other people have been doing their whole lives, or what these they've been doing all this evil shit, but I don't know what most of these people have been doing, but they have allowed these evil motherfuckers to turn this place into a hell world, a true evil hell world. Horrors of incomprehensible magnitude. That's not how that quote goes, but that's how I am imagining it right now. Man-made horrors beyond comprehension. I think that's we can't have this. I'd rather die than to continue living some regular bitch-ass bullshit life. Shitting. I mean, that's all we're doing here, son. This plastic fucking bullshit life of just shitting, eating all day, getting paid, enjoying the wonders of modern. It's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. It's disgusting. This world disgusts me, and these evil motherfuckers disgust me. I disgust me. And I want to fucking destroy these evil motherfuckers. All of these evil systems, all of these evil people, I don't care who the fuck they are, what the fuck they thought, I want to destroy them. And if that means they have to die, then so be it. That is what I want. I want the death and destruction of all these disgusting fascist, pedophile, human trafficking, narco motherfucker. I want them all destroyed. Now, that's anyone can say that. Matt, I feel like a lot of people feel this. So obviously, I'm not really giving you anything new or special, right? It's not a solution, right? But that's how I feel. And towards that feeling, I have I think something that can give us a proper idea of what can be a proper solution. Now, I want to ask you this question. I want you to understand the way I'm thinking, so you understand what my solution for this is, right? I want you to think about I want you to think about I want you to think about like a political idea, right? A political topic that we're always talking about, right? Think about any of them, right? Gun violence or tariffs, right? That's one that's an easy one. That's a good example, right? I want you to think about tariffs, right? A lot of people are talking about it. You know, it's a whole thing right now. It's being used in a bunch of ways, right? I want you to think in your mind right now, what is a tariff? Right? In all like, what is it? And not just like what you think a tariff or what you were told what a tariff. Like, okay, you have that, right? But what is a tariff legally, right? What are the tariffs that we're talking about? What are the tariffs, right? And I want you to think, okay, right? 90%, 99% of us don't know specifically what a tariff is, and that's fine, right? But 99% of us don't know which tariffs, right? We don't know the structure. We don't know what the tariffs say, right? We don't know who gives these tariffs, right? Where are these tariffs stored? Right? So I want you to understand, right? 99% of all humans, right, do not know anything about a tariff besides the word, right? Besides the word tariff and the emotional perception of that word, right? I'm telling you, 99% of all people in the United States, right, do not know a single thing. Shit, I couldn't even spell it right half the time. Does it have one R or two R's, right? And you might say, okay, dude, I can just search it up, right? Try to do that, right? In our society, try to do that. You can do that, right? You can pull up a Wikipedia page, right? You can pull up 7 or 8 different other tabs that go to a very other specific part of what a tariff is, right? Then you got to pull up maybe like a couple of videos to fill you in on more of the, you know, to understand like the movement of something. We kind of need a narrative, so you're gonna have to watch a video, maybe read a book about it, right? And you're gonna have to somehow fuse all of these bits together, and then maybe write it down somewhere else separately, and then hope that you get a kind of a small picture of what's going on. Yes or no? Is that not the structure of understanding something for 99% of us? 99.9% of us, we have to do that. And that is the problem right there. Everything I just explained to you is why, to a degree, and I believe a large degree, why we have all of this unfathomable evilness. What I just explained. the whole phenomena of 99.9% of all subjects that are affected by a topic having not the simplest conceptual understanding of that thing is why there is such evil. Because 99% of us, that includes me, I am in that 99%. I can't even spell the word tariff. But I will go on a rant like I am right now and talk about my opinions about how I feel about something, or I'll ride or die about this or that or this or that. And I'll fucking die on a hill for it. And you will too. And all 300, 500 million of us will. And we don't fucking know even how to spell the goddamn thing. That is why there is evil beyond comprehension. Because we are all a bunch of lying, pathetic, blind, stupid, evil motherfuckers. A bunch of pretending ass motherfuckers. That's why. That is why. And our only solution to find a solution to stop these demonic, evil motherfuckers is for us to stop lying to ourselves. And once we start lying to ourselves, we'll realize that we need a tool. We need a tool. A tool that can be a map to our society for all of us. Now, I did a lot of yapping. A lot of we should do this and we should do that, blah, 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 right? This project is called a society interface, and I've been working on it for a while. And I'm going to give you an update. One major flaw, and something that this tool, this map, this society interface needs to have solved in its structure, right? This flaw that is found in a lot of other methods of gathering information, like Wikipedia, blah, 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 all like the internet, right? The way it's structured, right? Is that we have not realized, right, that, okay, we've realized it, right, but we haven't realized it to its full extent, right? When all the human mind, right, how to me, how it seems like, right, all objects and phenomenons fall under a web of meta categories. The perception of that object itself is filtered through a bunch of meta categories, right? And you see this on Wikipedia. You see history, right? You see appearance. You see creator. You see finance, right? All of these meta categories, right, are part of the matrix in how we interpret a phenomenon. Whether that be a social construction or whether that be a physical material thing. What we need to figure out, right? We need to figure out the complete hierarchy and relational webs of all of these meta categories. We need the meta structure of all meta categories when it comes to interpreting or understanding all phenomenon, right? There's a, okay, for example, in linguistics, they do this a lot, and it's really fun, right? They find the meta structure of how we pronounce words together, right? There's a certain pattern for sentences, and if you leave that pattern, a sentence don't make sense, right? It's like you have to do a subject, verb, preverb, right? It has to follow, right? The English language, right? The understanding and relationships between things in the English language has a meta structure, right? That you're not aware of it, right? But to speak the language properly, right? You have to do it, right? There's a reason why the word you has to go after the word, whatever word goes after, right? There's a structure of relationships that are invisible, right? We need to find that structure, right, for the understanding of phenomenon, right? There's a reason why we do history, creator, location, there's a reason why it's structured that way. There's a meta structure under that. And once we are able to grab that meta structure, right, and use it as a universal, right, it makes, right, you can find the universal pattern, right, to understanding the meta-categorical relationships between all things. You combine the power of understanding the underlying meta structure for these meta categories, right, with a second key issue that is also missing, right? There are different types of categories, right? And they need to be visually represented in different ways, right? Our brain has certain neurons, right, that are specifically made to map out spatial information, right? To map out it's broken down and it fuses all together, right? Our data needs to be able to work congruently with this, right? For example, right, some of these meta categories, right, are we'll call them universal, right? They are categories that are connected to the universal structure of our reality, right? They're not social inventions, right? I'll give you an example, right? History, right? History, right, is a universal category, right? That is temporal. What you're talking about is time, right? Geospatial information, right? Location and visual data, right? These are universals that has to be structured in a different way than a different attribute,